Thank you. Appreciate it. Silber. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Fantastic. Thank you. Listen, I learned what to stand for tonight. I mean, I'm glad I came. You know, but I think, you know, things that I have going for me that Mr. McCain clearly does not. I mean, who's been in Barr? You know, did you see McCain there? Y'all haven't seen Barr, the movie? Man, this is a dead crowd. You got to liven it up here. Colbert. We were on Colbert tonight. I hope you all are going to get home by 11:30 to go down. Listen, whatever you all think, don't buy into this notion that, well, we go out there and support somebody who stands for liberty and who stands for freedom and who will fight against big government and who will turn the tide of big government simply because he can't win. You know, that's a defeatist attitude. This is the problem. You've heard the problem here with conservatives and Republicans. Oh, we got to go, and I would hear it week after week. We would have our Republican conferences on the Hill. And you know, we go in there, and what would we hear? We would hear from the experts. We would hear how much money the party has raised, always important. And we would hear what the latest polls say. And when it would come to talking about substance, the discussion would suddenly grow very slim, very thin, very quiet. All they want to talk about is how much money we can raise, what do the polls say, and oh, by the way, don't rock the boat. We have to vote for what the party and what the polls say we ought to be voting for, because if we don't, we'll lose office. And then we won't be able to do anything. So it's just compromise after compromise after compromise. You know, at least we have a party out there, the Libertarian Party of the United States of America, that stands for freedom, that understands freedom, and is going to fight for freedom. And by the way, the Libertarian Party has thousands of candidates that are out there, including many here in New York, many in my home state of Georgia. So, you know, this notion that the party is paying attention to the presidential race is absolutely false. You got to sandwich it. You got to sandwich the electorate. We have hundreds and thousands of candidates at all levels of government, at lower levels of government where the rubber meets the road, already running, and will continue to run. The party is supporting them. That's where most of the resources go, to ballot access and helping get those candidates, recruit them, and get them on the ballot. But if we do just that, and we don't pay attention to the national level, where the nation's attention is in fact focused every 4 years, or if we pay attention just to that and forget about the grassroots, then it will not amount to anything. We have to do both. That is what the Libertarian Party is doing, because liberty matters both at the national level and at the local level. So however you all decide to vote, at least do it based on the substance. And there's nothing more substantive, there's nothing more mainstream than what beats in the heart in the breast of every American, and that is the heart of a libertarian. Everybody. I think the doc said it best. Everybody in America is libertarian about something. It might be how to educate their children, how to run their business, what to do in the privacy of their own home, how to spend their money. And what we have to do, all of us who care about liberty, and I dare say that probably includes everybody in here, regardless of whether they're going to support Mr. McCain or somebody else, you're here tonight because you care about liberty. What we have to do is we have to go out there and make people start thinking about these issues. Ross Perot, when he ran in 1992, they did a number of polls after that election in which he got 19% of the vote. And the major reason why people didn't vote for him was because they thought he couldn't win. If they thought he could win, they would have voted for him. Let's not make that kind of mistake this year. Let's not buy into this argument that we have to support Senator McCain. And I didn't hear one good, positive reason tonight why to vote for him. Not a single reason was given in that fell into that category. Let's get out there and make sure that people realize that there is something tremendously important at stake, and they can, in fact, make a difference. And I'm very proud to be the Libertarian nominee for president. This is a party that really has a tremendous future, and there's a tremendous opportunity this year that has not been presented us, at least in my lifetime. Let's take advantage of it. Let's not let it. Thank you.
everybody. Mr. Barr has graciously agreed to take a couple of questions. So I know you want to ask him, sir.
First of all, I'd just like to preface my remarks by saying that I really admired the role you played in the Senate trial of President Clinton. You did a very admirable job prosecuting that case. But I'd like to ask you one thing. Don't you think that nominating someone who's been a member of the Libertarian Party for less than 2 years reeks of political expediency rather than idealism?
The question was prefaced by some very, very kind and learned remarks about my role in the impeachment, and I appreciate that. But then the question turned decidedly sour in saying, wouldn't it be a mistake for the Libertarians is it not a mistake for the Libertarian Party to choose as its nominee somebody who has been formally involved with the Libertarian Party for 2 years only? And does that not reek of expediency as opposed to adherence to principle? The short answer is absolutely not. The fact of the matter is that I am a firm, strong proponent of liberty. And that is not simply born of the fact that I have supported liberty. And yes, have I cast some wrong votes in Congress? Absolutely. I mean, I admit it. I voted for the USA Patriot Act, and I have spent 5 years since leaving the Congress trying to undo that damage because it has been a piece of legislation that has been terribly abused by the current administration. They went back on every assurance that they gave us about how it would be used, how it would not be used, and so forth. But the fact of the matter is, we are here. The Libertarian Party has selected its nominee. It is Bob Barr, and my running mate, Wayne Root, a small businessman from Las Vegas. Let's not worry about whether or not it might have been better to select somebody with some different ideas, yet who had simply been in the party a longer period of time. That's water under the bridge. We are here now. We have, I think, a dynamite ticket for the Libertarian Party. We have an excellent platform. Let's take advantage of it. Let's run with it. And this is not a campaign simply to make a point, although a point will be made. This is not simply a campaign to send a message, although a very important message will be sent. This is a campaign in a very different election year, in a three-way race, can in fact be won. And if we go into it with that mindset, as opposed to looking for all of the reasons not to, really to make it and send it.
The striped shirt.
Did you have like the sort of reform libertarians, or when did that happen?
It happened on 9/11. And I don't mean just the acts of 9/11, but the way the current administration and both parties in Washington have seized on what happened, the tragedy of 9/11, and have moved us further in the direction of strong, centralized, autocratic government in the few years, 6 years, 7 years since 9/11, than in the entire course of our nation's history. And what that has caused is caused me and a lot of other libertarian-leaning Republicans, perhaps, take a much harder look at a number of areas where we were previously perhaps willing to let government take some liberties with our liberties, because we can no longer do that. The sphere of personal privacy, personal liberty, personal freedom since 9/11 has become so small, and the scope of government power has become so large. I mean, when you have the Attorney General of the United States of America proudly standing, or sitting, I don't recall which, before the Senate of the United States and saying habeas corpus is no longer important, when you have the President of the United States saying, yes, I see this law and it tells me that I cannot spy surreptitiously on American citizens in their own country without a court order, but I'm going to do it anyway because I am, after all, the Commander-in-Chief. We have a very serious problem that has taken us to levels of improper government power than we have ever before, and it has, in fact, I admit it, caused me to take a very hard, much harder look at government power than ever before.
Yes, black t-shirt in the back. Yes.
Mr.